Customer yells at pregnant waitress. What Keanu Reeves does next leaves her speechless. Where are you watching this video from? Please comment and let us know. Also, don't forget to like the video and help us reach 1,000 subscribers. The story begins in a warm and inviting small-town diner. It's the kind of place where locals gather for a hearty breakfast, hot coffee, and friendly conversation. Amid the bustling chatter and clinking of dishes, Emma, a dedicated and visibly pregnant waitress, moves gracefully from table to table. Her apron hugs her round belly, a testament to her strength and determination as she works tirelessly to provide for her unborn child. Emma has always been a beacon of kindness and positivity, known for her radiant smile and gentle demeanor. Despite her exhaustion, she makes every effort to ensure her customers feel welcome and cared for. Behind that smile, however, Emma is carrying a heavy burden. Her husband, once the breadwinner of their family, lost his job a few months ago, leaving Emma as the sole provider. To make ends meet, she has been taking on extra shifts, often standing on her feet for hours at a time. Her co-workers admire her resilience, and the regulars are especially fond of her. Some even bring small gifts, like knitted baby booties or a box of cookies, to show their appreciation. Emma's cheerful attitude hides the worry she feels each night when she counts her tips, hoping there'll be enough to cover the next month's bills. Yet she remains determined, holding on to hope for a brighter future for her family. The calm hum of the diner is suddenly disrupted when the bell above the door jingles and in strides Mr. Hargrove, a sharply dressed businessman. His expensive suit and polished shoes exude an air of wealth and entitlement. He surveys the room with an air of disdain, his face twisted into an impatient scowl. Without greeting anyone, he marches to the nearest empty booth and throws his briefcase onto the seat beside him. The diner falls quiet for a moment as heads turn to take in the stranger's brisk and intimidating entrance. Oblivious or unconcerned about the stares, Mr. Hargrove snaps his fingers at a nearby busboy, barking, "I need a menu quickly, please." The young boy scurries off nervously, eager to avoid confrontation. From the start, it's clear Mr. Hargrove is not the kind of customer the diner is used to. While most people chat pleasantly or exchange smiles with the staff, he seems intent on making his displeasure known. His complaints begin before he's even ordered. "Why is this place so noisy? Can't you people maintain a professional atmosphere?" He mutters loudly enough for everyone to hear, ensuring his dissatisfaction is unmistakable. The cozy, welcoming vibe of the diner suddenly feels tense and uneasy. Emma notices Mr. Hargrove and, despite sensing his hostile energy, approaches his table with her signature warm smile. She greets him politely. "Good morning, sir. Can I get you something to drink while you look over the menu?" Her voice is soft and cheerful, but she can feel her nerves creeping in. Mr. Hargrove barely looks at her, waving his hand dismissively. "Coffee, black, and make it quick," he says curtly, as though she were a servant. Emma nods and heads to the coffee station, reminding herself to stay professional and composed. After all, she's dealt with difficult customers before. When Emma returns with the coffee, Mr. Hargrove picks up the cup, takes a sip, and immediately grimaces. "This is cold. Can't you even serve a decent cup of coffee?" he snaps, placing the cup down with an exaggerated thud. Emma apologizes sincerely and offers to bring him a fresh cup, but he interrupts her mid-sentence. "What I need is competent service. If this is how you treat paying customers, it's no wonder this place is half empty." Emma can feel the eyes of the other customers on her. She's used to handling complaints, but Mr. Hargrove's tone and words sting. She takes a deep breath and responds with patience. "I'll bring you a fresh cup right away, sir." As she walks away, she overhears him muttering something about lazy staff under his breath. When Emma returns with the fresh coffee, Mr. Hargrove has moved on to complaining about the speed of the service. How long does it take to make a simple breakfast? Are you people running a diner or a circus? He exclaims, his voice loud enough to disrupt the conversations at nearby tables. The once cheerful atmosphere of the diner now feels heavy and uncomfortable. Emma apologizes again and assures him his order is being prepared. But no matter what she says, it seems to fuel his irritation. He begins nitpicking everything: the cleanliness of the table, the cheap decor of the diner, and even the playlist of soft, jazzy music in the background. You'd think a place like this could at least afford decent ambience, he scoffs. The other patrons exchange uneasy glances, silently rooting for Emma as she tries her best to keep her composure. A few of the regulars consider stepping in, but the imposing presence of Mr. Hargrove keeps them seated. The tension in the air is palpable, and even the kitchen staff peeks out to see what's going on. Little does Mr. Hargrove know, someone in the corner booth has been watching the entire interaction quietly, biding his time. This someone isn't just any customer, it's Keanu Reeves, who has been sitting unnoticed in his casual attire. He's seen enough and decides it's time to step in. The situation reaches its breaking point when Emma returns to Mr. Hargrove's table with a pitcher of water to refill his glass. Exhausted and slightly flustered by his constant complaints, her hands tremble ever so slightly. As she pours the water, a few drops accidentally splash onto the table and onto Mr. Hargrove's expensive watch. The reaction is instantaneous and explosive. Mr. Hargrove slams his hand on the table, causing the entire diner to go silent. "Are you kidding me?" he bellows, his voice echoing through the room. "You can't even pour water without making a mess. What kind of incompetent staff do you hire here?" Emma freezes, her face flushing red as every pair of eyes in the diner turns toward them. She quickly grabs a napkin, trying to clean up the spill. But Mr. Hargrove isn't done. He points an accusing finger at her and says, "This is exactly why people like you shouldn't be working in a place like this. You're clearly unfit for the job if you can't handle a simple task. How do you expect to handle a baby?" His cruel words cut deep. Emma tries to apologize, her voice shaking as she says, "I'm so sorry, sir. It was an accident. Let me..." But he cuts her off again, dismissing her efforts with a wave of his hand. "Save your excuses. I'm paying for good service, not amateur hour," he sneers. Tears well up in Emma's eyes, but she bites her lip and holds them back, determined not to let him see her break. Around the diner, the other patrons exchange uncomfortable glances. A few of them seem ready to intervene but hesitate, unsure of what to do in the face of such open hostility. The atmosphere in the diner is heavy with tension, and for a moment, it feels like no one will step up to defend her. Sitting unobtrusively in a corner booth, Keanu Reeves has been watching the entire scene unfold. Dressed in casual jeans, a t-shirt, and a baseball cap pulled low over his face, he's gone unnoticed by both the customers and the staff. He had initially come into the diner for a quiet meal, but Emma's kindness and grace had already caught his attention. As the conflict escalates, Keanu leans back in his seat, his eyes narrowing as he takes in Mr. Hargrove's cruel words and Emma's quiet strength. He notices how hard she's trying to maintain her professionalism. Even under such immense pressure, he can see her trembling hands and the tears she's struggling to keep at bay. Keanu feels a mix of emotions: anger at the businessman's blatant disrespect and admiration for Emma's resilience. He takes another sip of his coffee, quietly weighing his options. Keanu is known for his humility and kindness, and moments like this remind him why he values treating everyone with respect. It's clear to him that someone needs to step in, and as no one else is moving, he decides that person will be him. Just as Mr. Hargrove raises his voice again, demanding to speak to the manager, Keanu stands up from his booth. He moves with calm confidence, his steps measured as he approaches the table where the confrontation is happening. The other patrons watch with a mix of curiosity and relief. Sensing that something is about to happen, Keanu clears his throat to get Mr. Hargrove's attention. "Excuse me, sir," he says in a polite but firm tone, "but I think you owe this young woman an apology." Mr. Hargrove looks up at Keanu with a mixture of annoyance and confusion. "And who are you supposed to be?" he snaps. "This doesn't concern you. Mind your own business." Keanu doesn't flinch. His calm demeanor remains unchanged as he responds, "It does concern me when I see someone being treated unfairly. This waitress is doing her best to serve you, and you're speaking to her in a way that's completely unacceptable." Mr. Hargrove scoffs, leaning back in his seat. "Look, pal, I don't know who you think you are, but I'm a paying customer, and I expect good service. If she can't do her job right, that's not my problem." Keanu places his hands in his pockets, his expression unwavering. Being a paying customer doesn't give you the right to belittle someone. She's working hard, and she doesn't deserve to be spoken to like that. You might want to consider showing a little respect and empathy. It doesn't cost anything. The businessman narrows his eyes, clearly unimpressed. "Why don't you take your advice and sit back down? You're not helping anyone by playing hero." Keanu leans in slightly, his voice lowering but carrying an undeniable weight. "Maybe not, but I think everyone here would agree that kindness goes a long way. And if you can't find it in yourself to be kind, maybe you should reconsider how you treat others." The diner falls silent again as everyone waits to see how Mr. Hargrove will respond. Meanwhile, Emma stands a few steps back, her face a mixture of shock and gratitude, as she watches the unexpected defender take a stand on her behalf. Keanu Reeves' firm yet calm words cause a visible shift in the atmosphere of the diner. Mr. Hargrove is momentarily taken aback by the unexpected confrontation. His confidence falters as he realizes the quiet man in casual clothes isn't just any customer. There's a poise and conviction in his voice that makes him seem important, though he can't quite place him. The other patrons, who had been too hesitant to step in before, now begin to murmur in agreement. A middle-aged woman seated nearby chimes in. "He's right, you know. There's no reason to treat someone like that." Another customer nods, adding, "She's doing her best, and you're being unnecessarily cruel." Mr. Hargrove glances around, realizing he's no longer in control of the room. For the first time, he looks unsure, his bluster deflated. Keanu steps closer, his tone softening just slightly as he addresses Mr. Hargrove again. "Look, everyone has bad days, but taking it out on someone who's already working hard doesn't make things better. Maybe you should think about what's really bothering you before lashing out." The businessman opens his mouth to argue but stops himself. He looks at Emma, who is still clutching a napkin, trying to stay composed despite the tears glistening in her eyes. Something about the quiet dignity in her expression makes him pause. Finally, he mutters, "Fine, I might have overreacted. Sorry." Though the apology is reluctant, it's enough to ease the tension in the room. Satisfied that the situation has de-escalated, Keanu turns his attention to Emma. "Are you okay?" he asks gently, his voice filled with genuine concern. Emma nods quickly, trying to smile despite her tears. I'm fine. Thank you for standing up for me. I really appreciate it." Keanu smiles warmly. "You don't deserve to be treated like that. No one does. You're doing an amazing job, especially given how hard you're working." He pauses, and then adds with a twinkle in his eye, "And by the way, your service has been excellent." Emma blushes at the compliment, her spirits lifted by his kind words. She manages a small laugh and says, Thank you. That means a lot. But Keanu isn't done yet. He glances around the diner and then back at Emma. I'd like to cover the tab for everyone here today, he announces. The entire diner gasps in surprise. And I'd like to leave a tip for you, Emma, for all the hard work you're putting in. You deserve a little break. Emma stares at him, stunned. You don't have to do that. It's too much. Keanu shakes his head. Sometimes, we all need a little kindness to remind us that the world isn't such a bad place. He reaches into his pocket, pulling out several crisp bills, and hands them to Emma. Use this for yourself and your baby. The entire diner bursts into applause, the energy shifting from tense to joyous. Emma is overwhelmed, tears streaming down her face as she accepts the money. Thank you. Thank you so much. You don't know how much this means to me. As Keanu returns to his seat, Mr. Hargrove sits quietly, his face red with embarrassment. He watches the scene unfold, seeing the joy and gratitude on Emma's face and the way the other patrons are now smiling and cheering. It's a stark contrast to the tension he created just moments ago. For the first time, he feels a pang of guilt. He looks down at his untouched meal, then at Emma, who is now laughing through her tears as the other customers offer her words of encouragement. Finally, he stands up and walks over to her. I'm sorry for how I acted, he says, his tone softer and more sincere this time. I shouldn't have taken my frustrations out on you. Congratulations on your baby. Emma, still emotional but gracious as ever, nods. Thank you. That means a lot. The diner buzzes with positivity as customers finish their meals, chatting excitedly about what they just witnessed. Many of them leave generous tips for Emma, inspired by Keanu's example. As Keanu gets up to leave, Emma approaches him one last time. I don't even know how to thank you, she says, her voice still thick with emotion. Keanu smiles warmly. You've already thanked me. Just take care of yourself and that little one, okay? He puts on his baseball cap, gives her a small wave, and exits the diner. As he walks out into the evening light, the patrons are left marveling at his humility and kindness. Emma, now surrounded by supportive customers and her co-workers, feels a renewed sense of hope. What started as a difficult day has turned into one she'll never forget, a reminder that even in the toughest times, kindness and humanity can shine through. The story closes with a brief reflection from Emma, later that evening. As she counts the tips and looks at the bills Keanu left for her, she feels an overwhelming sense of gratitude. She knows that what happened today wasn't just about the money, it was about the reminder that there are good people in the world who are willing to stand up for others. She decides that one day she'll pay it forward, just as Keanu did for her. The story ends on a hopeful note, showing that one act of kindness can create a ripple effect, inspiring others to do the same. After calming the situation, Keanu quietly approaches the diner's manager. Pulling him aside, he speaks in a soft yet firm tone. Emma's been doing an incredible job, and it's clear she's under a lot of pressure. Could I ask a favor? The manager, still somewhat stunned to realize who Keanu is, listens intently. Keanu proposes that Emma be given some time off paid leave, if possible, so she can focus on her pregnancy without overexerting herself. The manager, inspired by the actor's sincerity and kindness, readily agrees, promising to find a way to make it happen. Keanu then leaves a folded note and a stack of bills at the cash register, instructing the manager to give it to Emma after her shift ends. It's an amount that far exceeds what she could have ever imagined, enough to cover her rent for several months and alleviate her financial burdens. Before leaving, Keanu walks over to Emma, who is still trying to process the overwhelming events of the evening. He leans down slightly to whisper, his voice gentle but firm with encouragement. You're stronger than you know. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise. And remember, brighter days are coming. He gives her a warm, reassuring smile and then leaves the diner without waiting for a response, disappearing into the night. Later, when Emma's shift ends, the manager hands her the envelope and explains what Keanu has done. She hesitates to open it, feeling both excitement and disbelief. When she finally unfolds the note and sees the amount of money inside, she gasps audibly, her hands trembling. Written on the note in neat handwriting are the words, "Take care of yourself and that baby. You're already an incredible mother." Overwhelmed, Emma bursts into tears. The stress and worry she'd been carrying for months, melting away in a flood of gratitude. She tries to find the words to express how she feels, but Keanu is already gone. She looks around the diner, her co-workers and customers offering her kind smiles and hugs of congratulations. For the first time in a long while, she feels a glimmer of hope and a weight lifted off her shoulders. What happened that night doesn't end with Emma. One of the customers at the diner, who had filmed part of the incident on their phone, uploaded the video to social media with the caption, "Keanu Reeves stands up for pregnant waitress and restores faith in humanity." The video quickly goes viral, amassing millions of views within hours. Comments flood in from people all over the world, praising Keanu's actions and sharing their own stories of kindness. Many viewers are touched by Emma's resilience and strength. Strangers start reaching out to the diner, sending in letters of encouragement, gifts for the baby, and even donations to help Emma through her pregnancy. Local news stations pick up the story, shining a spotlight on the power of compassion and the difference one person's actions can make. The customers who were at the diner that night also contribute in their own ways. Inspired by Keanu's example, many leave extra tips for Emma in the following days, wanting to show their support. The diner becomes a hub of positivity, with people visiting just to meet the waitress whose story touched their hearts. With the financial help and emotional support she's received, Emma is able to take the much-needed time off to rest and prepare for her baby's arrival. She reflects often on what Keanu told her that night, that she's stronger than she realizes. His words become a mantra she repeats to herself whenever she feels overwhelmed or uncertain. Months later, Emma gives birth to a healthy baby boy. She names him Keen, as a tribute to the man who not only stood up for her but also changed the course of her life. She shares a photo of her and baby Keen on social media, accompanied by a heartfelt message, "To the man who reminded me of my strength and gave me hope when I needed it most. Thank you. Your kindness will never be forgotten." The story of that night at the diner doesn't just fade away. It continues to inspire acts of kindness across the globe. The viral video spurs a movement of people stepping up to help others in need, sharing their own stories of humanity and compassion. For Emma, it's a night she'll always remember, not just because of the financial help, but because it reminded her that even in the hardest moments, kindness and empathy can make all the difference. She decides that when her son grows older, she'll teach him the importance of standing up for others and paying forward the kindness they've received. The story ends with a message of hope. One small act of kindness can spark a chain reaction, leaving the world a little brighter for everyone. Several months after that life-changing evening at the diner, Emma gives birth to a healthy baby boy. She names him Keanu, nod to the man whose kindness and empathy gave her the strength to face her challenges with renewed hope. The birth is a joyful and emotional moment for Emma and her husband, who has since found a part-time job and started contributing to their family again. The two reflect on how far they've come since the night when Emma felt so helpless, yet was met with an act of pure generosity that set them on a brighter path. As Emma adjusts to her new life as a mother, she can't shake the desire to show her gratitude. One quiet afternoon, while her baby naps in her arms, she carefully writes a heartfelt thank you letter to Keanu Reeves. In the letter, she recounts the impact his actions had on her life. How his generosity not only helped her financially, but also reminded her of her worth and resilience. She writes, "Mr. Reeves, your kindness came at a time when I needed it the most. You reminded me to keep going, not just for myself but for my baby. Because of you, I've been able to take care of my son and prepare for his future. I promise that one day I'll pay forward the kindness you've shown me." Emma also includes a framed picture of her newborn son with a handwritten note attached. "Your kindness changed our lives. Thank you for believing in me." She sends the letter and picture to Keanu's publicist, unsure if it will ever reach him, but hopeful nonetheless. Weeks later, at his quiet home in the Hollywood Hills, Keanu Reeves sits on his back porch, sipping a cup of coffee while his rescue dog, Maverick, lounges at his feet. It's one of those rare days when he has no filming obligations and can enjoy the peaceful moments of solitude he cherishes. A package arrives, and his assistant places it on the table beside him. Curious, Keanu opens it and finds Emma's letter, along with the framed picture of her newborn. As he reads the letter, his lips curve into a small, warm smile. He pauses for a moment, staring at the picture of baby Keane, and feels a sense of quiet fulfillment. The letter reminds him why he believes in small acts of kindness, that even a simple gesture can create ripples far beyond what anyone could imagine. He sets the letter down and looks at Maverick, who wags his tail lazily. Keanu chuckles softly and scratches the dog behind his ears, saying aloud, "We can all do more. Can't we, buddy?" His voice carries a tone of humility, as if he's thinking about how much more good he can still do in the world. The scene closes with Keanu taking Maverick for a walk along a quiet trail, the framed picture of baby Keane resting on a shelf in his living room. His actions, though simple, left an indelible mark on Emma's life, and the gratitude she sent back to him reaffirmed his belief in the goodness that connects all people. As the story ends, viewers are reminded that small acts of kindness have the power to create profound change, not only for those who receive them, but for those who give them as well.